Welcome to this video on handling documents after the death of a loved one. We'll explore what to keep, what to shred, and what can be safely tossed, based on risk and practicality. We'll also cover smart disposal tactics and provide a framework to reduce overwhelm. Now, let's begin with a quick roadmap so you know what's coming next. Here's the agenda. First, we will identify which documents to keep permanently. Next, we'll discuss how long to keep tax records. Then, we'll weigh shredding versus simple disposal and consider a balanced approach. After that, we'll cover smart disposal tactics, including free community events and professional services. We'll also examine a controversial but practical insight that may reduce the need to shred everything. Then, we'll provide a clear, step-by-step action plan. Finally, we'll test your understanding with 2 short quizzes. With that in mind, let's add a brief but important disclaimer before we dive into details. This is a general educational video and does not constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. Laws and best practices vary by jurisdiction. You should consult a qualified professional who understands your specific situation, including local regulations around data protection, document retention, and open versus closed accounts. With that disclaimer in place, let's move on to the real-world challenge families face: the overwhelming burden of paperwork. Many executors face decades of saved receipts, monthly statements, and routine records. The sheer volume creates decision fatigue and a fear of making a wrong choice. Our goal is to create a system that protects against identity theft, respects legal obligations, and preserves time and energy. To do that, we need to align on a few key concepts before sorting. Next, we'll define the core terms and categories that drive good decisions. Let's establish a shared vocabulary. Personally identifiable information includes social security numbers or tax IDs, account numbers, dates of birth, and other data that can uniquely identify someone. Next, consider account status. An open account is still active and needs heightened protection. A closed account has been terminated. Third, notifying Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion about the death significantly reduces the risk of posthumous identity theft. Fourth, use age as a sorting tool. Recent documents within 2 years, older documents within 3 to 7 years, and ancient records older than 7 years. Finally, all legal and estate papers such as wills, trusts, certified death certificates, letters testamentary, and court orders should be kept permanently. With these concepts in mind, let's move to what you must keep and for how long. Here are the core rules of thumb. First, keep all estate settlement papers and legal records forever. These include the will, trust documents, death certificates, letters testamentary, and any court orders. Second, keep all tax returns and supporting documents for at least 7 years, which covers common audit look-back periods. Third, many routine records related to closed accounts are usually disposable, especially if they are older. However, if a document contains recent, personally identifiable information, treat it more securely, regardless of the account status. Now that we know the retention fundamentals, let's summarize them in a simple table you can reference while sorting. This table summarizes practical retention. Estate legal documents and death certificates should be kept forever. Tax returns and supporting documents are kept for 7 years to cover common audit windows. Statements related to closed accounts, especially older ones, are usually safe to dispose of after verification. Any recent document containing personally identifiable information should be shredded or securely destroyed. With the reference in hand, let's consider the trade-off between security and convenience. Shredding is the gold standard for protecting personally identifiable information. However, once the death has been officially reported to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, the risk of posthumous identity theft decreases substantially. In that context, for very old records tied to closed accounts, simple trash disposal can be a reasonable trade-off, especially when weighed against the time and cost of shredding every document. That said, always use secure destruction for recent items, or anything containing sensitive identifiers. Next, let's visualize a decision flow you can apply during sorting. This flowchart guides the executor through a series of decisions. First, determine if the document contains personally identifiable information. Next, identify whether the related account is open or closed. Then, verify if the death has been reported to the 3 major credit bureaus. After that, consider the age of the document by categorizing it as recent, older, or ancient. Also, Ask whether there is a legal or tax reason to keep it. The outcomes pass through one of several actions. Keep permanently for legal estate records. Keep 7 years for tax returns and supporting documentation. Shred immediately if it contains recent or sensitive PII. Use a professional shredding service for large volumes. Or accept a toss or recycle path for ancient documents related to closed accounts after bureau notification. Always consider local laws and practical redaction methods when using trash. Next, we'll move from decisions to concrete disposal tactics you can use right away. Turn decisions into action. First, check for free community shredding events, typically hosted by financial institutions or local governments. Second, if you have a large volume of documents, schedule a commercial shredding service to handle it quickly and securely. Third, for small amounts, consider a cross-cut or micro-cut shredder at home. Fourth, burning old paperwork is an option only where it is legal and safe. Follow local regulations and strict safety practices. Fifth, for items headed to the trash, reduce risk by redacting, such as tearing off account numbers and discarding identifying pieces separately. Finally, stage low-risk, ancient closed account papers for periodic disposal rather than processing everything at once. Now, let's compare do-it-yourself shredding to professional services so you can choose the best fit. On the left, do-it-yourself shredding is cost-effective for small batches and gives you immediate control at home. However, it can be very time-consuming for large volumes and may lead to shredder maintenance issues. On the right, professional services are optimized for large volumes and often provide a certificate of destruction, which can be helpful for compliance or peace of mind. They can be scheduled as a one-time or recurring pickup, though there is a service fee and some coordination required. With this comparison in mind, let's discuss the burning option and the safe, legal way to consider it. Burning documents can be acceptable only where it is legal in your jurisdiction. Always verify local ordinances before considering this method. If permitted, use a proper fire pit or controlled setup, keep an extinguisher nearby, supervise the fire continuously, and avoid burning plastics or glossy materials to reduce toxic smoke. Ensure ashes are completely cooled before disposal. When uncertain, default to shredding or a professional service. Now, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. Question 1. Which documents should generally be kept permanently? Option A. Monthly utility bills from 10 years ago. Option B. Estate legal documents and death certificates. Option C. Old statements from a closed account after 8 years. Option D. Junk mail offers. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Estate legal documents and death certificates. These are core records that can be required by institutions or for historical reference at any time in the future, making them essential to keep permanently. Next, let's try another question about identity theft risk after notifying the credit bureaus. Question 2. After notifying Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion of a death, what usually changes? Option A. Risk of posthumous identity theft increases dramatically. Option B. Nothing changes. Shred everything forever. Option C. Risk is reduced, so ancient closed account records may be safe to toss. Option D. Burning becomes mandatory. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. Notifying all 3 credit bureaus reduces the risk of posthumous identity theft, which means ancient records tied to closed accounts may be tossed as an acceptable trade-off. That said, recent or sensitive documents should still be shredded or destroyed securely. To conclude the how-to portion, let's walk through a practical end-to-end workflow. Here is a practical workflow. First, gather all boxes and stage them in a single area. Second, report the death to the credit bureaus and request appropriate flags. Third, sort documents into 4 bins. Keep forever, keep 7 years, shred, and toss or recycle. Fourth, for large volumes of sensitive information, schedule a shredding truck or professional service. Fifth, for low-risk, ancient documents tied to closed accounts, consider redacting identifying elements and bagging them for disposal. Finally, file permanent and 7-year items in clearly labeled folders and store them securely. As we near the end, let's lock in the big takeaways. These are the core takeaways. Keep estate and legal documents permanently. Retain tax returns and supporting documentation for at least 7 years. Shred any recent or sensitive documents that include personally identifiable information. After notifying the credit bureaus, consider the reduced risk when disposing of ancient records related to closed accounts. Use free community shredding events or professional services to save time. Above all, prioritize security for current information while being practical about historical clutter. Before we close, let's summarize the message and next steps. In summary, protect what matters and simplify the rest. Use the presence of personally identifiable information, the age of a document, and account status to guide your choices. Combine do-it-yourself methods with professional services to save significant time. As a final note, always comply with local laws and consult qualified professionals for tailored advice. Now let's close with a quick note and a request to help others find this resource. Thank you for watching. If this video helped, please like it, share it with someone who is handling a loved one's estate, and subscribe for more practical guides. We would love to hear your questions and your best shredding tips in the comments. See you in the next video.